So, of course, as we're just finishing up and rendering a video about Vikings assistant coaching staff changes, where we surmise that there wouldn't be many changes unless Stefanski got the Browns head coaching job. Yeah, news broke that the Browns are hiring former Vikings offensive coordinator emeritus Kevin Stefanski, which, again, props to Stefanski. Like, I know that recency bias, taste in the mouth from the Niners game as well as the Packers Week 16 game. I mean, it certainly sticks in your craw where it's like they're hiring an offensive coordinator who only got 4 first downs against the Niners with non-garbage time, but Kevin Stefanski, as we've talked about all season long, 37 years old, is one of the best up and coming brightest offensive minds in the game. He did get the best season of Kirk Cousins' career out of him. He did help transform the running game. Now, how much credit does Kubiak deserve in all that stuff? I mean, certainly deserves a little something. But, I mean, Stefanski, like, the Vikings knew. The Vikings knew that he was eventually going to be a head coach, which I think led to the future of Zimmer being up in the air. Like, if Zimmer and the Vikings didn't win against the Saints, I think you could have seen a spot where Zimmer got fired and Stefanski got elevated to the head coach of the Vikings. I really do. I think that was that's how big that final drive with Stefanski was, where he essentially played himself out of the Vikings job, but with Kirk Cousins just dropping dimes all over the place. Now, of course, in hindsight, that could be whatever. But also, I mean, the Vikings could have traded Zimmer to Dallas, which I think that's why they strung out Jason Garrett so long, because they wanted to see what was going to happen with Mike Zimmer. When it's clear that Zimmer wasn't going to be on the trade block, they move on to Mike McCarthy when they could have had Mike McCarthy a week before. So just putting together all the pieces, conspiracy theory. That's what's going on. But, I mean, with Stefanski, I think he walks into a great situation in Cleveland. I think Freddie Kitchens was way in over his skis. I don't think that he was even remotely prepared to be a head coach, where Stefanski, working his way up through the Vikings organization since 2006, serving in a bunch of different coaching positions, to be tight ends coach, quarterbacks coach, eventually offensive coordinator. I think that this is a man who's ready to go. Plus, he was the guy who had interviewed with the Browns with Jimmy Haslam the year previously. Didn't get the job, lost out to Kitchens. But I think the Browns circled back. They knew that Stefanski, once he got a little bit more seasoning, he saw that he was the play caller here with the Vikings. Vikings had a very solid year offensively, that he was going to be the guy. And he walks into a great spot. You got Baker Mayfield, who I believe with some proper coaching can get turned around, even though Baker had more commercials than wins this year, so whatever. If they can smooth things out with OBJ and Jarvis Landry, you have one of the better wide receiver duos in the NFL. Not as good as Thielen and Diggs when they're healthy, but whatever. And hopefully he can calm down David Njoku, who I think is going to be one of the better tight ends of the league. Freddie Kitchens basically burned all the bridges with him, so get that back. You got Chubb, you got Kareem Hunt. Nick Chubb is one of the best running backs in the NFL. So, I mean, Stefanski is going to be walking into a damn fine spot with the Browns, and we wish him well. I mean, if the Vikings would have hung with him another year, if he didn't get the Browns job, I think that would have been really smart. But now, the question is, what's going to happen with the Vikings staff? Who's going to be the next offense coordinator for the Vikings? Now, we'll do a video on this after we think it out a little bit more, but right away, Kubiak comes to mind, although I don't think Kubiak necessarily wants the added stress of being the game day play caller. I don't think he'll bring in Pat Shurmur as well as Gary Kubiak, as they have two older coaches. I don't think that dynamic is going to work out. It'll be as fraught as the Norv-Shurmur 1.0 relationship. But I do think that if the Vikings do stay in-house, something I could see happening is Clint Kubiak becoming offensive coordinator. And I know he's young, he's inexperienced, whatever, but they also said that about Stefanski last year as well. And then this year, Kubiak the Younger, essentially following the Stefanski path, where Stefanski was a one-year quarterbacks coach. And who knows Kirk Cousins better than anyone in the building than Stefanski last year, Clint Kubiak this year. So it could be a spot where you want that continuity. You want that Kubiak-esque flavor to continue with the offense, where, I mean, Gary Kubiak is going to give a lot of help to Clint. I mean, the whole nepotism thing goes back again. Or, I mean, they could look to Rick Dennison, who could be calling plays. I mean, sure. I just don't see Shurmur. I don't see them necessarily going outside of house either. So I think if the Vikings are going to stick with the Kubiak tree, I think Clint Kubiak could be bumped up. So we'll see. But also, that would be largely influenced by Gary. Let's not get twisted here. But again, congratulations to Kevin Stefanski and his family. It's it takes a lot to be in one place for 14 years in the NFL. Now he's moving to Berea, Ohio, and I guess we'll see you in the Super Bowl, baby. Let's go. All right, your thoughts. Stefanski getting poached, getting hired by the Browns. Let us know in the comment section below. If you want to subscribe, do that up, support the channel. Also, if you want to support the work, pull us on the Venmo, plus give us a follow on social media as well. But the next time, Skull, production value.